Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video, doing another Friday Foursome. Novabug has mentioned this one and maybe a couple more are going to be it for a while, which is unfortunate. I really like seeing these. I like doing these. And yet he has mentioned, well, there's some other projects, things he wants to do, so maybe going to put the Friday Foursome away after this. So there's this one, another one, and then a final one. So gonna do a couple more here, and I guess we'll see what the future holds. However, let's get on with it. This time it's 4 favorite female protagonists. And I've actually covered these 4. In fact, I've done 5 of these because I've talked about these 4 ladies as part of a series that I did a while ago called My Digital Crush, where I talked about how these were, in my case, these were 5 different characters that I went a deep dive into on each one, their history, their games, that kind of stuff, and why I love them so much. But I have to choose 4 because of the Friday Foursome. So one of my 5 has had to be removed, and there's a very specific reason, but we'll get there. So let's start off, and I'll just briefly go into each character, but I'll also mention I have detailed versions of this. I'll maybe put a little card in the corner just to say, if you want to see the full detailed discussion about this particular woman, click on the link. So starting with number 4, Jill Valentine. I really like that character. I like, it was actually Resident Evil 3, the first one that came out on the PS1. I saw the image that they used as a promotional item, and I was just like, hey, she's pretty. I want to play that game. I didn't have a PS1, though, so. And it took years for me to actually get Resident Evil 3. I know there's the new one. I've been sort of interested, but I don't like scary games, as per last month's Friday Foursome. So, not going to play that new one, but I've heard great things. However, yes, Jill Valentine, what makes her interesting and different from all the other ones in my list, she's the only one who actually has a story. Things happen to her. There's drama in her life. There's a progression, an evolution of what happens to her character. So she's very interesting. I love Jill Valentine. She is my number 4 pick. My number 3 pick is Ooh La La from the Space Channel 5 games. And with her, it's interesting, I never got a Dreamcast, but I always wanted a Dreamcast because I always saw her in the promotional items and ads and stuff for the game, or for the machine, and I thought, I kind of want to get a Dreamcast just so I can play the game with that girl in it. She looks pretty, but it didn't really work out. I finally got to play Space Channel 5, the second game, I can't remember what it's called, on my PlayStation 3, and I really liked it. And it was just fun to finally play Ooh La La and to enjoy her game after admiring her from a distance for so many years, shall we say. And most recently, about 6 months ago, my ultimate thrill was they actually released Space Channel 5 for PlayStation VR. And that was amazing. I still play it to this day. I'm standing there dancing next to Ooh La La in virtual reality. It's so cool. Love, excuse me. Ooh, I took my breath away. Which she does. So yes, Ooh La La from Space Channel 5 is my number 3 pick. My number 2 pick is ironically, just like last month when we talked about 4 horror games, I mentioned that I really like a game that I don't have to include any footage for because you're looking at it already, Darkstalkers. One of the characters in Darkstalkers is my number 2 pick, and that is Felicia. I really love her. Now, in her case, is she the protagonist? That's a little bit of a... I mean, she's a fighting game character. But, you know, Novabug did say you can choose fighting game characters. There's no real restrictions except for one that I'm going to get to next. But he said, you know, it can be fighting game characters. It can be shoot-'em-up characters. It can be anything. So just the floodgates are open with one small caveat. And as a result, yes, Felicia in Darkstalkers is my number 2 pick because I really love that character. She's tied to the final choice, which I'll go into in a lot more detail here. But yes, Felicia is my number 2 pick for my 4 favorite female protagonists. Before I get to number 1, this is, again, a list of 4, and I have done a list of 5. One of mine is missing because I have to pair out somebody. And The reason I'm choosing not to include her is not maybe what people expect. In my Digital Crush 5 series, I talk about Poison from Final Fight, and I go into a lot of detail because there's a lot of history and a lot of discussion about that character. Click on the link in the corner if you're that interested. But I can't include her, and it's not for the reason that some people might be drawing. It's actually because Novabug said they have to be the protagonist. They have to be the hero. They have to be the main character that you're following. And much as I love Poison, she's not that. She was a villain. She was one of the henchmen of the Mad Gear gang in Final Fight. She's not a protagonist. She's definitely a villain character. So she can't go on the list. Ha! So there we go. That's why she's not showing up. So that does leave us with my number one choice. And my number one choice is, as anyone who's watched my channel knows, Chun-Li from Street Fighter. Definitely Chun-Li is my favorite female protagonist character. Now again, she's a fighting game character, and you know, one could argue Poison did show up in Street Fighter 4, so why is that not allowed? But I think for me, because Chun-Li is iconic, like she's one of the very top tier characters you always see, and I've talked about this in the video I talked about her. If you go to any video game event, or if you see any artwork dedicated to video games, there's going to be a Chun-Li in there. She's in Wreck-It Ralph. She's in a whole bunch of different bits and pieces. She's on wall murals and stuff. Chun-Li is that sort of character that is often portrayed in many bits of popular culture references to video games. So, yes, she trumps all the other ones in my list. She is my number one choice. I dream of the day that they make, I don't know, a Chun-Li game like Bayonetta or something where it's just her going around doing her thing and fighting characters on her own. You know, that would be awesome. There's been a movie. I'm probably going to talk about that someday, but for the time being, let's just say that, yes, as far as the Friday Foursome is concerned, and my Digital Crush series, Chun-Li is number one. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this one up. I think Novabug mentioned you can kind of predict what the next one's going to be like, and I think I know what that's going to be. That's going to be really hard if it's what I'm expecting. And as to the last, I don't know. We'll see what the future holds. It's I don't know. I'm going to be very sad to see this series go. There you go. All right, until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.